What do Walt Disney, JCPenney, and Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, all have in common? They all used a secret wealth building strategy to fund their businesses and grow their fortunes, and it's not what you think. They didn't rely on banks or investors when times got tough. They turned to their whole life insurance policies to finance their success. It's called infinite banking, and today I'm going to break down what infinite banking is, how these legends used it to build their businesses, and how you can apply the same strategy to take control of your finances. By the end of this video, you'll see how infinite banking isn't just for the rich, it's a tool that anyone can use to grow wealth, fund opportunities, and protect their future. Let's dive in. So, what is infinite banking? Infinite banking is a strategy that uses dividend-paying whole life insurance policies to create a personal banking system. So picture this. Instead of putting your money in a traditional bank where it earns low interest and it can be difficult to access, you store it inside a cash value life insurance policy. Your cash value grows tax-free over time. You can borrow against it anytime without credit checks or penalties. Even when you borrow, your money continues compounding as if you'd never touched it. Some of these benefits can also include liquidity. You can access your money anytime for investments, emergencies, or big purchases. It also gives you a tax advantage. Your money grows tax-free and loans are tax-free. Growth and safety. Unlike the stock market, cash value has a guaranteed growth with no risk of loss. Now let's look at how some of the biggest names in business history use this strategy to create empires. First, we have Walt Disney, who famously used it to build Disneyland. In the 1950s, Walt Disney had a vision. He wanted to build a theme park unlike anything we'd ever seen. But there was a problem. Banks didn't believe in his idea. They saw it as too risky and refused to lend him the money he needed. The solution he came up with, instead of giving up, Disney turned to his whole life insurance policy. He borrowed against the cash value to fund the early stages of Disneyland's development. He used that money to buy land, start construction, and keep the dream alive until the park opened. Now, today, Disneyland is one of the highest grossing entertainment properties in the world, generating billions of dollars every year. Disney understood that with infinite banking, he didn't need permission from the bank to fuel his vision. He just needed to borrow from himself. The next is JCPenney. So during the Great Depression, businesses everywhere were failing, and JCPenney's department stores were no exception. The sales had dropped, and the company struggled to make payroll and cover operating expenses. Penny was on the brink of losing everything. So instead of closing his doors, James Cash Penney used his cash value from his life insurance policy to keep his business afloat. He actually paid for the employees' salaries, kept the store stocked, and avoided bankruptcy, all without taking out expensive bank loans. Because of this decision, JCPenney not only survived the Great Depression, but it did eventually grow into one of America's largest retailers, generating billions in revenue to this day. Penny had proved that in tough times, having liquidity and access to capital can make a difference between surviving and thriving. The final one is Ray Kroc of McDonald's. When Ray Kroc took over McDonald's, he had huge ambitions to turn it into a global franchise, but scaling up required cash, and traditional financing wasn't actually enough to cover his plans. Ray Kroc turned to his life insurance policies to cover employee salaries, marketing expenses, including introducing Ronald McDonald as the mascot, and real estate purchases to expand McDonald's location. Thanks to these moves, McDonald's grew from a small burger stand to a global giant with over 37,000 stores in more than 100 countries. Like Disney and Penny, Kroc understood that having access to capital without relying on banks was a game changer. So how can you use infinite banking today? Here's the biggest takeaway. These stories prove that infinite banking isn't just for the wealthy. It's a strategy that anyone can use to fund a business, invest in real estate, cover emergencies, or capitalize on opportunities without waiting on the banks. Imagine needing $50,000 for a business idea or down payment. Instead of borrowing from a bank and paying high interest, you can actually just borrow from your own policy, pay yourself back with interest, and your money keeps compounding. To recap, Walt Disney, JCPenney, and Ray Kroc all used infinite banking to build businesses, weather tough times, and create wealth. They didn't depend on the banks, they became their own banks, and you can do the same.